You wake up already tired. Not physically tired, emotionally tired. There's a plan on your calendar for tonight. A dinner, a meetup, something that sounded reasonable 3 days ago when future you was feeling ambitious and social. Present you, however, is doing the math. The clothes, the travel, the small talk, the smiling at the right moments. Then your phone buzzes. Hey, can we reschedule? And before you even finish reading the message, it happens. A tiny exhale, a quiet smile, relief. Not excitement, not joy. Relief. If that reaction feels familiar, if a canceled plan feels like being handed back a piece of your evening, there's more going on than simple introversion. This isn't about being lazy, antisocial, or bad at people. It's about how your mind processes obligation, energy, identity, and emotional safety. And once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere, in yourself and in others. Let's talk about the psychology of people who feel relieved when plans get canceled. Maybe it's you, maybe it's someone close to you. Either way, this reaction isn't random, it's patterned, and it shows up in a few very different psychological profiles. There's one type that usually doesn't look anxious at all. On the surface, they seem capable, organized. They say yes easily, too easily actually. You ask them to hang out and they respond with a cheerful, sure, no hesitation, no visible dread. But later, hours or days later, the wait arrives. The plan turns from a simple event into a mental tab that stays open in the background. These are people who struggle not with socializing itself, but with anticipatory pressure. Their brain treats upcoming plans like unresolved tasks, even enjoyable ones. The event hasn't happened yet, but it's already costing energy. So when plans get canceled, what they feel isn't happiness, it's cognitive relief. The mental tab finally closes. For this type, the relief isn't about avoiding people, it's about regaining mental quiet. The calendar empties and suddenly the mind does too. If this is you, you might notice that you enjoy things more when they're spontaneous, last minute, or unplanned, because there's no time for the anticipation to drain you first. Then there's another profile, and this one's quieter. These people don't dread the event itself either. They dread the version of themselves they feel obligated to be during it. Picture this. You're getting ready to meet people, and in your head, you're rehearsing your tone, your energy, how attentive you'll be, how present, how agreeable. You're not thinking, will this be fun? You're thinking, will I show up correctly? This type often learned early on that being liked required effort. Emotional tuning, reading the room, being on. So when plans get canceled, the relief comes from not having to perform. No need to monitor your expressions, no need to manage the emotional atmosphere. You get to stay in your unedited state. These people aren't antisocial, they're socially fluent, but that fluency costs them. And cancellation feels like permission to stop acting for a while. Maybe that lands uncomfortably close. Then there's a third kind of relief, and it's more subtle. These are people who deeply value autonomy, sometimes more than they realize. They don't like feeling boxed in by commitments, even enjoyable ones. A plan on the calendar can feel like a fence around their time. You'll notice this type often enjoys the idea of an event more than the reality. They like knowing they could go, that they were invited, that the option exists. But once the plan becomes fixed, it stops being a choice and starts being an obligation. And obligation for them triggers resistance. So when plans get canceled, what they feel isn't social avoidance. It's freedom returning. Their time becomes open again, undefined. Possibility comes back. The relief is psychological spaciousness. If you relate to this, you might notice that you're at your best when your life has flexible edges. When time feels open, even if you don't use it productively. Now here's where things get more interesting. There's a fourth profile that often surprises people because it's tied to sensitivity rather than preference. These individuals feel things deeply, especially emotional undercurrents. They're highly attuned to mood shifts, subtle tensions, unspoken expectations. Social environments aren't just conversations for them, they're emotional landscapes. A plan isn't just a plan, it's a future environment their nervous system is already preparing for. Will it be draining? Will there be conflict? Will someone need support? Will they absorb more than they can release? For this type, cancellation feels like emotional self-protection. Their system relaxes because it no longer has to brace for unknown emotional weather. It's not that they don't care about people, it's that they care so much it costs them. If this is you, you might notice you need more recovery time after social interactions than others seem to. And that relief after cancellation often comes with a twinge of guilt, because you know you should want to go. But here's the twist. For some people, relief after canceled plans isn't about the present at all. It's about the past. There's a profile shaped by experiences where plans didn't feel safe, where social commitments came with criticism, unpredictability, or emotional labor, they couldn't escape. Over time, the brain learns to associate scheduled interactions with tension, even if current relationships are healthier. So, when a plan dissolves, the body responds before the mind does. Muscles loosen, breathing deepens. Relief arrives without asking permission. This doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means your nervous system learned patterns that once helped you cope, and it hasn't forgotten them yet. Across all these types, one thing is consistent. The relief isn't a flaw, it's information. It tells you how your energy works, what drains you, what restores you, what parts of social life cost more than they give. The problem isn't feeling relieved when plans get canceled. The problem is not understanding why and then forcing yourself into patterns that quietly exhaust you. When you don't understand your own relief, you might label yourself as lazy, flaky, or antisocial. But when you do understand it, you can design a social life that fits your nervous system instead of fighting it. Maybe you plan fewer things but enjoy them more. Maybe you leave space between commitments. Maybe you stop saying yes automatically and start checking in with your future self. Or maybe you simply stop judging yourself for that exhale when the message comes through. So now I'm curious, which of these felt most like you? Or did you recognize someone else in the story? When plans get canceled, what exactly are you being relieved from? If this resonated, sit with it for a moment. And if you want to keep exploring the quieter patterns behind everyday behaviors, the ones we rarely talk about but all feel, there's more waiting here. You're not strange for feeling this way. You're paying attention.